Hello friends, we are back again with another long drive with JB on JB's Man Cave. We're in South Trinidad and we will be going in the area that the arrows are pointing to. All of these general areas. Golconda, Barrackpore, Point Fortin. I'll be taking mostly back roads, but I'll also show you a bit of the new highway. Now if you like what I do here and appreciate the time that's taken into doing all of this for this length of time, please go to JB's Man Cave at jbmancave.com or jbo.com. Hit the donate button and show your appreciation that way. By giving a donation, you help me to keep making videos like this. So we're on Superior Road, and I'll be taking roads similar to this. Now I have a specific destination that I'm going to, which is in Barrackpore, but I wasn't exactly sure how to get there in this direction. And normally I would go through another path through the central roads in the back roads, as they say, but I came along the highway to get here a little faster. So hopefully, I thought I would get there faster doing this way, but it turned out to be that I ended up getting kind of lost. So sometimes you'll see me turn around, and you'll know why, because I felt I wasn't going in the right direction, or when I stopped to ask for directions, somebody told me I had to go the other way. That's the thing with South, when you come down here, there are lots of roads going in all kinds of different directions, and you really need to know where you're going. However, when I turn around here, you will see that you will get a bit of a glimpse of San Fernando Hill. That's it there in the distance. So you can tell where I am in relation to that. And you get to see some of that church. Maybe you've attended there at one time, or part of it, or it has a significant landmark for you or for the area. You can always tell me in the timeline. I appreciate comments. I like to hear from people who know more about me, I should say more than me, about an area, because I don't claim to be a historian or to know everything. I just go based on my own experience and what I see in front of me, just as you are doing. Now if you're new to JB's Man Cave, you will know that I like to record things in the raw, so I tend to share things as I see it, and I share all of it. So that includes parts that other people would normally edit out. I leave it there, and the reason for that is because I want you to experience this trip as though you were in the truck with me. A lot of people like to zigzag and go fast and clip things, but you know, in the end, all you're doing is seeing them and them speaking about it. I want you to really immerse yourself and feel how it is to drive in these roads and in these areas. And you can only do that by me leaving the video to run as it is. Now at this hour of the day, I think it was around 7 in the morning, 7 or 8, I'm not sure. I think I left at 7, but got down here by around 8 or a little before 8. Anyway, the point is that the sun is rising in the east, and we're going towards the east right now. So therefore the sun will be in the camera lens some of the time, not all of the time. There's a part of the trip where I actually start heading back west, and when I say west, southwest, and the sun shines in the other direction so we could see better. But anyway, I'm just explaining why sometimes it might be hard to see certain areas. However, you get to see a lot of how this particular area has developed. Maybe you once lived here, or you know somebody here, a friend here, family. You can tell me what you think about the area now. Has it grown? Does it look the same? What you know about it, etc. Feel free to tell me in the comments area. It's nice to go in the chat if we are having this as a premiere, but not really a lot of people know about the chat, nor do they know how to look for the comments there. So it's better if you put it in the comments area. That's much appreciated. The chat is more for like just saying hi and how you're doing and stuff. Now I want to give a big shout out to Cheryl, who made a good donation to JB's Man Cave and the work that we do here from my last video in Utah. Those of you who have not seen it, I know a lot of you always focusing on Trinidad, but if you'd like to see me in Utah, in the USA, you should check out that. You could find those videos if you go to my home page or look in the videos section. I create so many videos that sometimes people get lost as to what to look at or what to see. But my strong advice to you is to always start with my home page, because if you go based on what YouTube is telling you to watch, you will miss more than half of my videos. If you are not familiar with Trinidad, Trinidad is an island in the Caribbean. It's very close to Venezuela, but it's an English-speaking country. It's the official country's name is the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. It's 2 islands, but the island I'm on right now is Trinidad, which is the bigger of the 2 islands, and this is the southern part of the island. But anyway, Trinidad was formerly a British colony, and so we speak English here. But although I say it's English, there's a very strong dialect that most North Americans or even British would find hard to understand sometimes, especially if they go to outlying regions of the country where the dialect is even stronger. Of course, for any local, you know, when another Trini speaks, they automatically understand no matter where they're from. It's like a language of its own, and it's used regardless of class, background, or anything. I mean, people in government, they come to address the nation and they're speaking in dialect, so it's everywhere. You saw where I took this road, but I realized, nah, it's not the correct way, so kind of backed out there. Like I said, I'm not too sure going in this direction how to get where I'm going, but at the same time I like adventure, and it's good for you too because you get to see areas that I haven't been. Now, one of the things I would like to say is that when you watch one of my videos, please read the description. A lot of people jump on one of my videos but really do not understand why I made the video or the background of the video. That is especially true for clips, short clips. On YouTube they call them shorts. You know, they would watch a short video, have no idea about it, just make their assumptions and whatnot. But really read the description, because once you read the description of why the video was created or what I was trying to show you in the video, will give you a better explanation of what it's about. I will save us some time too. It will save you time saying something maybe kind of silly and me having to explain that you should read the description. That's not me being rude or curt. It's just me kind of frustrated with the enormous amount of people that comment, assuming for one reason or the other that the video is meant to say something when it's not. And I'll give you an example of that. For instance, I record many trucks. Now you might think that's kind of weird, but lots of people love trucks. We see trucks and transportation and vehicles all the time. But sometimes if you're from a different country, trucks, vehicles, whatever have you, are different. So it's something new. A truck that we drive here in, let's say, Trinidad will be different to one that maybe is in North America, right? So, for instance, look at that truck ahead of us. That truck with that big bullhorn on it, that's a common sight in Trinidad. When you see them, they're announcing something. But you may not see that in another part of the world. So it's a talking point. So anyway, I make short clips of videos like that. But you will get mostly Trinis, not always, but Trinis will come and say, well, what's the point of this video? I didn't see any crime. But why does every video I make about Trinidad have to be about crime? Just because you saw a couple of videos that I made about crime doesn't mean the whole channel is about crime. And again, it's just simply showing the truck. And that's why a lot of people don't understand JB's Man Cave or the videos I make. So I implore you to always check the home page, check the description of the video, even read the about section of YouTube, so you can understand why. Here's another example of why people get mixed up with my channel. I was recording a video of a certain religious building in Utah, and a couple of people went off about their frustration with that religion, and they assumed that I was some white guy creating videos about the religion and whatnot. And then I had to explain to him I am not a white guy. I'm very much mixed and non-white. So, I had to again go through the process of explaining why I make the videos, and this have nothing to do with a religion or whatever. It just has to do with me seeing things in an artistic view, I guess you could call it that, in a perspective that many people don't. Sometimes people just pass things quickly and they don't realize the depth and breadth of it. They don't stop to smell the roses, as it were. Like this scene here, for instance, you could read so much on it. The roads are really bad. They're really windy. I mean, how many places have you been where you see the road is like a snake? Or in such a terrible condition. A lot of people in South always complain that the roads here are not maintained, and I really feel it for the people in South. Let me tell you, some of the best people you will ever meet in Trinidad come from South and Central as well. I don't know, they just have a different vibe. I'm not saying every single one, because I'm sure you all will come and tell me, oh, I had bad experiences with people in the South or whatever. Let me tell you, in the South, you're more than likely to meet somebody hospitable, that willing to help you, to talk to you in a nice way, to be soft or gentle. Not like the people in the North. People in the North, wow, they're like if somebody give them dog meat to eat, treat you bad, rough, they don't talk to you nice at all. But people in the South, very different. Sometimes when I come to the South, I always feel like I'm in a different country, to be honest. And if it was up to me, I would live in the South. So, going back to perspective again, look at this scene. Does this place look anything like where you live? And I'm talking about people who may be in other countries. Do the houses look like houses where you live? So sometimes we need to just sit back and take in what we see, rather than just the destination we want to reach. And that's what my videos, I hope, portrays. Now sometimes you'll hear my son talking in the background, or both of us talking. It's kind of muted, so you might not pick it up very well, but I was trying to leave a bit of the background sound so that you could hear the engine and whatnot. He loves to go on trips like this with me, see some more bad roads. I mean, there are bad roads all over the country, but in the south, the bad roads are exaggerated, and a lot of it is caused by slippage and shifting. The land in a lot of the southern parts of Trinidad moves, and I guess is exacerbated by the fact that a lot of heavy machinery, high tonnage trucks and stuff also pass on these roads, and that doesn't help the situation. Now, another thing you may notice if you're not from Trinidad are the buildings. They do not fit a, how do I put it, a typical look. Each building looks different. You know, in places like, let's say in North America, you'll find that all the houses look similar, they have the similar color and whatnot, but here they use lots of different colors, lots of different shapes. And here I kind of stopped to talk with some people looking for directions. So that's why you would see different buildings and for different purposes. Like on the right, those are typical two-story houses. Next one is a flat house. Some will be finished, some will be unfinished, depending on the person's resources. Look at this old-time house here that they're trying to modernize with the top. Then you may have a house that is multi-purpose where the people live above and downstairs is a business. So that's why all the houses look different. Everybody have their own style and taste, and because this is also the Caribbean, the colors tend to be loud at times. Everybody loves their colors, and the Caribbean is about colors, right? So that's no surprise. This is a single lane bridge. Only one vehicle could go in one direction at a time. You'll see a lot of those in the south of Trinidad. I don't know if you could see the bonnet of my truck, but it has like a layer of brown on it, and that, believe it or not, comes from Sahara dust. The Sahara dust blows all the way from Africa across the Atlantic and here to Trinidad and covers everything, and it could be really bad. I actually have a video about that. You should take a look at it. You'll be amazed at just how thick it is. I recorded it a day in Port of Spain, and it was covering all the mountains to the point that you couldn't even see the mountain. Some people who are asthmatic and have breathing problems or breathing issues, it affects them in a bad way. For some people it also burns their eyes and causes others to cough and all kinds of stuff. So you may want to know, if you plan to come to Trinidad, about the current conditions of Sahara dust. They actually put a level alert on it so you can know. Now I think in one trip I actually went the turn left, but I had checked the map and thought I could go this way to make it faster. So I was trying it out. Sometimes I like to experiment when I drive, all part of the adventure. Now one of the interesting things about South is because it's so hilly, the road tends to be the high point and the houses kind of dress the banks of the road on the left and the right. And you could see as we turned, you're getting a bit more of the sunlight hitting everything, so you get a better view. One of the things that Barrackpore is known for is the Diggity volcano. If you haven't seen that, make sure to go there. It's a nice place. And believe it or not, I actually have a video for that as well. Make sure to check it out.
This will take me to the Barrackpore police station.
One of the things that may be unusual for you if you're looking at this from another country is how the walls, there are lots of walls on the properties, and the properties tend to be very close to the road. That's typical here because land is at a premium, so usually none can be spared, and infrastructure is usually lacking. So you'll find, for instance, you don't see any real sidewalks, pavements here. If you look on both sides of the road, there isn't a proper pavement or sidewalk. Notice that? You don't see any drains either. So water that's hitting the road is going to fall into people's properties. So terrible lack of infrastructural development, especially in certain parts of Trinidad like the south. Look how bad the road is there on the right. See how it's cracking up and shifting? One thing I love Trinidad for is the green. At least where the green is allowed to grow, because it seems like Trinidad is just being slowly replaced by concrete. You could hardly find trees anymore, especially up in the north. In the south you still see a lot of green, and I hope it is kept that way. You can see how bad the road is here as well. As I said that, it made me laugh because somebody commented on one of my videos that they find I talk too much about the roads being bad. Well, heck, they are bad, and I'm driving on it. I think people in Trinidad get too complacent and desensitized to things that they don't realize how bad it is. Like, look at that on the left there. That's not acceptable. And something like that road being collapsed there, will remain that way for months and months, regardless to the danger it might pose to people driving there, or the houses are wrong. That's just how life is here in Trinidad, and people get used to it. So when you do bring it up, they're like, oh, what you bothering for? Well, you know, if people accept that, then the people that be will not do nothing about it. People have to make noise, say something. Really, my avenue for these videos is not to be political or thing, but these are social issues that are a matter of life and death. Look at this road. And I have videos specifically about how bad the roads are. But look at this. This is again a matter of. So could you imagine traveling here at night, and probably you're not familiar with the area, and you're coming around the corner, you don't realize just how bad that road is? Just imagine what could happen. People who live in these areas will know where every single pothole is. But somebody outside of the area like me, I have to to navigate each pothole as I see it, when I see it. And sometimes it just suddenly comes on you because of the way the roads are. See, look again. Wow. So for those of you who always say, oh JB, you don't create enough videos about showing how bad the roads are. See, look, even the opposite, right? You have some people saying, I don't talk enough about the roads, and then you have some saying, I talk too much about the roads or whatever. It's like you can't keep everybody happy, but for the sake of those of you who say I don't talk enough about how bad the roads are in South, here you are. I actually have another video of Barrackpore. And in those days I didn't have the camera mounted properly. So it used to shake with every pothole. And that in those early videos you could see the camera shaking badly. You can always look in my channel for it. I think it's called Bamboo to Barrackpore and Pinal or something like that. Look for it and you'll see it. If you can't find it, just comment that you're looking for that specific video and I will point you towards it. Now, something else that sometimes Trinis are not very diplomatic, nor have much decorum. That's just how Trinis are. A lot of it has to do with maybe how they were brought up. So let me explain a few things for you. Again, not to be curt, rude, or think that I'm better at, but I just want to save both you and myself some time. First of all, again, I'd like to emphasize that find out about my channel. If you don't know about it, find out about it, because that is the way you will be able to know what I'm talking about, the purpose of the video. And so a lot of people always come in and saying do this or do that, and I created this frequently asked question page that I just link them to so that they can know what the video is about, how I take requests, and so forth. Because somebody will come and say, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. And often I have to think, well, what the heck? I didn't know I was getting a salary for this. I thought this was just something to help my boys out. But it looks like somebody's paying me specifically that I wasn't aware of. So, you want me to create something or do something? Try putting some backing behind that request. Not just your keyboard text saying that you want it done. You understand? Get my drift? The other thing I want to talk about is a lot of Trinis on YouTube, but they don't understand how to use YouTube or what YouTube is about. For instance, there's a difference between a premiere and a live stream. A premiere of a video just means that YouTube lets everybody know and publicizes that the video is currently being viewed in a group chat. So that means the video could have been recorded at any time. It's not necessarily live, but people are allowed to chat about it. That's what Premiere does. Also, if you had subscribed, it will inform you or notify you that there is a premiere taking place. A lot of people will come on a premiere and say, oh, this is not live, this is not that, this is not this, is dark here in Trinidad, I don't know why I seen like, and they just start really ranting or trolling, not really trying to find out what it's about. So that's what a premiere is. A live stream is something different. That's where you're actually live and you're showing unedited video. So that's something different. So normally when I show these long videos, it's a premiere. Now, what's the there's some pros and cons to watching a premiere video during the premiere time. Let me explain that. If you suddenly get a notification that it's a premiere video, the advantage of you watching it right there in that premiere is that you get to chat with other people watching it at the same time, including myself. The other advantage is that ads do not tend to show while the premiere is being shown. Sometimes they start at the beginning or the end, but then that's it, not in between. So those are the advantages of watching a video when it's premiering. But then there are some disadvantages. And the disadvantages is that premieres show at a lower resolution, so you won't be able to see it at the highest resolution that I recorded the video. So if your aim is to see it in as sharp a presentation as possible, then you would have to wait till after the premiere to see it. The other thing with that's better if you want to wait is that after the premiere is over, then you can go to various parts of the video. During the premiere, you cannot skip around because everybody's watching the video being live streamed at the same time. And when I say live stream, I don't mean that it's live like real ongoing time. I mean live stream in this regard means it's being shown at the same timeline for everywhere else in the world that somebody is watching it. So people often forget that a minute ago here is the same minute ago, let's say in Japan. Even though we're in different time zone, we still run on the same seconds, minutes, hours, etc. So 2 hours ago will be the same 2 hours ago in a different part of the world. So YouTube shows a premiere in that same regard. So when the premiere is finished, then you could see the whole video. If in case you came in the middle of the live stream and you missed a lot of stuff I said or whatever. Now one of the things that was interesting about this trip is that I kept thinking to myself, man, I should have reached by now. But these back roads here, they're not easy, you know. In addition to the bad roads, the lack of signage and stuff, you really don't have a way of knowing what kind of timeline you should be in reaching. And because you tend to drive slower, because of the bad roads, you end up thinking, well, I should have reached by now. But you don't realize just how slow you're driving. Look at the road ahead as an example. See how bad it is? And these are like typical roads. You might think, oh, this is just a one-off. No, lots of roads in Trinidad are like this. But they're especially bad in South. There are no pavements or sidewalks here, so you see how that guy has to walk very close to cars that are passing. Imagine oil and gas is the main production GDP for this country, huh? And look at how the place is. We should be in a first world status. The amount of money that runs through Trinidad and Tobago. Things here should be looking top class, but they aren't. Sad to say. Now, for those of you who couldn't be bothered, let me tell you what JB's Man Cave is about. I'm a parent of children with special needs, and I create these videos to help support them. End of story, right there. I know you could say, oh, it's for this purpose and that purpose, and you could invent different reasons, but in the end of the day, you could thank my children with special needs who need help for these videos, because they're the ones that need to benefit from it. That's why you can do well in supporting me. Show your appreciation that way. It's definitely appreciated. Now you see this little part here? I just love this. See when they like plant trees and plants and stuff? I love that. I think the country could benefit a whole if people go back to planting, you know, more flowering plants, decorative plants, ornamental plants, rather than just, you know, letting bush grow or whatever. And people used to do that back in the day. I've spoken about this a lot on my videos. Hibiscus, crotons, bougainvilleas were very plentiful. You would see them all over people's houses, but now all you see is really concrete. And in the case where they don't have concrete, it's just bush or whatever.
I'm looking for a mechanical blesser.
Again, I took a wrong turn here. So I think I ask again for some directions. And once I get those directions, I move on.
Alright, thanks.
Turning around here could be a bit difficult. Sometimes you all don't know how long a truck can be for these narrow roads. And you'll also notice there aren't a lot of barriers, so if you for some reason you was driving here and you were driving recklessly, you could skid and go into any one of these houses. So it's very important if you're coming in back here to drive, take it easy, especially when it's raining. And I will dare say, for those of you who are wondering what Caribbean life is, these scenes are typical. This is how it looks. I mean, here is a little more green than other places, but you know, the houses are typical. They are, you know, what you would see in the Caribbean. The way the land is, the green, the trees, the lampposts with their many lines, the varying types of buildings and so forth. All of this is typical Caribbean. It's not just like they show you in brochures, you know, beautiful beaches with people drinking, you know, drinks out of a coconut and all that sort of stuff. That is actually a very rare thing here, believe it or not.
Good day. Good day, you know.
And here again, I'm asking for directions, trying to get out of this muck that I have put myself in.
I'm looking for a
But
mechanical blesser.
but in in doing so, again, you get to see places that I otherwise would not have gone. Like, and that's why I said in this video I'm just driving around south, because I really am. I wouldn't have come down these roads if I knew where I was going, and you would have never seen any of these places. So you could thank me later for getting lost. One thing is for sure, trying a new way to get to some place in Trinidad is, if you're trying to reach in time, because it's not advisable. Uh, there's another way that I would normally take to get there, and I got there easy. This way is like, wow. One thing too, Trinis are very helpful with giving you directions. They're not always accurate, but what I normally do is ask 2-3 people so that I can be sure of the information that I'm getting. This guy is in front of me, is helping me out. Told me to follow him, and he would point out the way I should be going. There's also an unwritten rule about people who drive trucks. They tend to be more helpful to each other. I know people who drive cars wouldn't understand that concept, but that happens there. You see how he's pointing? Pointed the way for me, which way to go. So yeah, truckers tend to help truckers. I'm not saying it's that way every time, but just generally. Have you had that experience? You can always let me know in the comment section. Look at all the kobo birds on the road and on the bridge, having a feast. Sometimes you pass in these areas and you get a whiff of something really smelling bad, and it's usually something that's dead, like an animal or whatever. The bushes are sometimes very thick, so you can't see what it is, but those birds come and feast on that. You get a lot of wild animals in these areas too, huh? So finding smell, I shouldn't say finding, but smelling something emanating from the
You know a mechanic called Bless Up?
bush is not uncommon.
Morning, you know a mechanic called Bless Up?
Here again, I stopped to ask somebody to make sure I'm on the right course, and this is me having found the place, and now I am headed back southwest. I'm not going back to Port of Spain, I'm staying in south, but heading west now. And this is later in the day. I went to check somebody, got what I needed to do done, and now I'm exiting. But instead of going back the way I came, I decided I would take this route. And you know why, right? So you all could see something new. This is the way I would actually normally come, and it's more scenic. I actually thought that taking the other way would have gotten me there faster, and I thought the roads would have been better. But as it turned out, the roads here, to me, are a little bit better than what I was on, and not as much traffic. Let me know by the end of watching this if you think I was right. Right now we're going to be heading to Point Fortin. And you can see from the counter to the top right just how much driving involved in that. Yep. This is especially true because of where we are in relation to where Point Fortin is. It's not like there's a straight road that goes from where I am to there. You have to take all these winding roads and whatnot and whatnot. So I stopped to ask somebody which is the best way, because sometimes you could take one road and it takes you in a whole other direction.
Alright, okay, thanks. Alright, okay.
That's a huge building on the right there. Sometimes in Trinidad you'll be in a remote place and then suddenly you'll come across this huge building. I have that in my other videos. One thing too I like about driving down south is the air is very refreshing, especially here in the countryside. Good for your lungs. Really appreciate it. One thing you also see here a lot is, when I say here, in the south, is more coconut trees. There are actually places in south, especially in the southwest, where there's just miles and miles of coconut trees. It's in a place called Cedrus and Icacos. I have videos for that too. You can look for it. You see those beautiful estates.
Hey, Roy? Hold on, hold on. You don't want to fall?
You can see a lot of the sides of the road here, especially in this area, has a lot of bamboo. I don't know if they planted it like that to stabilize the land. Bamboo is very good for keeping
21.
the ground in place.
Then you have to start.
People especially use them on the hillsides and mountainsides for that purpose. But you can see a lot of coconut trees. People are also planting coconuts in their yard, which was a common thing back in the day. It's nice to see them down here in south, but in the north you don't see any coconut trees whatsoever unless you go to the beach or something like that.
No, it wouldn't take that long.
Not before 21. No, it would be like 1920.
Yes.
Should be 19 or 20.
Should be.
That'd be good. When the 21.
If you're into cycling, some of these roads would be
But says it would be
a
like
real challenge for you. Although dangerous though. I once had a person I knew who used to ride on the road and was killed by a truck. So it's very dangerous. In fact, in recent times, professional cyclists have been killed on the road just simply for riding their bike. Driving here, or I should say drivers here, a lot of them are just not careful. Sometimes the road forks like that and you're not sure which to take. You kind of have to like slow down and check. So I get a warning that we're to open trench, and there it is on the right. At least that one looks like it's being repaired. We passed some earlier that looks like nobody has touched it for years. You see those rocks on the left there, covered with the black cloth? You can see how it is put together with metal. Well, the reason for that is because those are used as retaining walls. They are assembled on the sides of the road, and people can use, well, I should say contractors can use them to brace the road up or stop land slippage. So I stop here to talk with somebody about which direction to go, and he's given me some really detailed um, instructions about how to go. So while I wait on him to do that, I'm going to show you some information because he wants me to come out to talk with him so he could better explain. Some people like to be thorough, nothing wrong with that. In so doing, you get a bit of the view of this area too. A bit of perspective. I believe the guy who is giving me some explanation, he's either, I can't remember if he was an imam or a pundit. He was some religious leader, and either going to or coming from whatever religious building. Can't remember at this point in time. But he was very helpful.
So turning left by this. Right. And then taking the first right. Yeah.
See, some of these roads, they just do not give you any proper road signage, so you have to ask a lot of people because the road is windy too. You know, sometimes you could be driving and you could, let's say, follow the horizon or follow the sun or follow something, but the way the roads are here, it's going up and down and turning constantly, bending left and right, left and right, so you can become disoriented very quickly. It's always recommended that if you're coming in these areas, you have somebody in the vehicle that could show you which way to go.
Thank you very much.
Don't pass. If you pass Language Health Center, you're on the wrong road.
What's all this person right?
Everybody else is wrong here. Right? Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate you stopping. Yeah.
It's a long, it's a way long thing.
Yeah.
But this is easier way.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Sometimes it's quite a risk for people in these areas to build too. I don't know how much testing they do of the land, but I've seen houses ripped away and slide away from land slippage.
See if I could go Point Fortin as we here.
And yet you see some really big houses. So I hope they have done an investment in retaining walls and stuff. Look at this road as an example. Excuse me. Have you ever driven any back here? By the way, you'll notice that I'm not really showing you the names of these roads because it's too much to track. And I'd rather not show you than risk giving you the name of a road that is not the correct route. You can always stop the video and look at the names of roads on the side to get a bearing, and then look on Google Maps if you want. Especially because at this point I wasn't sure where I was going, and tracking which road I'm on. Sometimes when you look on the map, you don't even see a name for the road. See, the road splits again, so you're not sure. Do I go straight? Do I turn left? You know, which way do I go? Sometimes it's like you have to roll dice and just hope you took the right way. Sometimes several roads will get you to the general location you want to go at, but because of the way the roads are, one choice might be worse than the other. Either because the road is bad or it just takes you further off course in order to bring you back, which means more time wasted. There's a lot of traffic on this particular road, so I guess I'm on the right direction. How about you? Could you live out here? Would you like to live out here? A lot of people come to my channel to look at real estate in various areas. Well, if you want to live in the southern countryside, this is what the areas look like. The more remote areas, I should say. And you'll have to put up with roads like this. So if you are going to do that, make sure to get a truck, all-terrain tires. Do not waste time buying a car. You'll have to be servicing it quite often. I believe I'm getting closer to where I want to be. Sometimes in these areas, I mean, it's remote, but at the same time, you see so many vehicles on and off the road. Even though it's cloudy, the sun held up, and there was no rain, so that was really good for me. Because sometimes I go out hoping that there's no rain, but you know, rain still comes. It has to do what it has to do. But when it does rain or it is very cloudy, some of these videos could look all grey. But you could see a lot of Saharan dust in the air today. Has that mist. That's why I see a kind of a white grey sky rather than all blue.
Barrackpore Police Station. Barrackpore Police Station. This way.
Right, so this is where in a point of the video, near the beginning, I said I would normally go the other way to get to where I was going before. So that's the direction I would have come. I came down here to and made sort of different loops, but again I'm heading towards Point Fortin this time. So if things look a little bit familiar here, that's why, because second time I'm passing here for this video. But I'm not gonna stay here for long.
Endless roads.
Wow, it goes non-stop.
If you remember, I passed a guy that was driving a tractor on the right. Remember that? At some point, I think we will come up to either the police station or other landmark. And instead of going left, we will go right. How about you? Do you like driving in remote places and going in destinations that you're not sure exactly where it is as part of an adventure? Tell me if so in the comment section. I would like to hear it. That wooden house on the right, it's been broken down. You don't see many of those anymore. So going back to how people perceive JB's man cave, I'll give you a couple of examples. For instance, I have a video called TRINI vendors in the middle of the street. Look how badly, wow, see how bad that road is on the right? Neither I or the other driver could pass. Somebody has to give way. Anyway, so I have a video called TRINI vendors in the middle of the street. Now, similar to how I told you earlier about the truck of featuring different vehicles, people reading too much into the video, and just certain people, I don't know, like they just can only see things with blinders on. The purpose of the video was twofold. One was to show people working any way possible, but the other was that being in the middle of the street to sell something is very unsafe for both the vendor and the driver, because by being in the middle of the street, especially in that particular intersection where vehicles turn in every which way, an accident could happen, and no amount of sales could be worth that. There's nothing wrong with being on the side of the street and selling, and that's where the vendors originally were. But I notice there's a new trend now to be in the middle of the street, and I just can't be for that practice, because I care about everybody's safety. Yes, I want a vendor to sell something, but I also want them to live. But there are always a group of trainees, I don't know, they just can't see things beyond basic stuff. So they complain about, oh, I don't want people to sell, and all kinds of stupidness. I mean, it's not like I am featuring the face of the vendors or anything. I blurred that out, as I normally do with anybody, because I'm not trying to highlight or how to put, embarrass anybody. I just showing an issue. Look at how bad this spot here is. Wow. And you notice every, what, maybe 100 yards, 200 yards, you see a depression in the road. It's terrible. So the roads here are really bad. So, for those people who watch some of my shorts in particular, try to look at the deeper meaning of what is presented to you. Not don't sorry to say, but don't be so shallow. Don't just look at the surface of something. But I know a lot of trainees like to do that. They don't give depth to what is being presented. They just like look at something, come up with some summary in their mind, and then start to post. I'm not saying all trainees like that, but a lot of them online are like that. And it's not unique to some of my videos. I see them on Facebook, I see them on TikTok, and the kind of comments they give, I just have to shake my head. It's like an embarrassment, to be honest. The other thing I want to talk about is, sometimes talking about Facebook, I don't really like Facebook that much. I don't really use it, to be honest. I only use it to let people know I have a new video up or whatever, and that's about it. So when I do go on there, usually I start out with what is called your wall. It's like a spread of different posts, images, and stuff of groups or friends or things that you have accessed in the past or maybe signed up for. And Facebook will assume you want to see it. No, I don't really, but it's forced on me. One of the things I did sign up for in the past or liked, I think, was the TTPS. There's the police station on the right, by the way. The TTPS page. That's the local police. And I am amazed at the amount of kidnappings that I'm seeing. Sorry, I should say missing persons, but they could be kidnapped. Some aren't. Some a lot of young people that I don't know, probably going through something in their home or in their lives, and they run away from home. That's not always the case, but I'm also seeing big adults too that aren't runaways and they are missing. So I'm amazed at the amount of missing people, especially young girls. That's very worrisome. Kidnappings came to mind because I remember the era where there used to be a lot of kidnappings of rich businessmen and stuff. And that happens occasionally still, it seems. But I notice now too with violent home invasions, they don't really care about kidnappings anymore. They want the money right there and then. So, and often because of that, somebody dies in the process. That's the new thing in Trinidad. A gang of people breaking in your home and accosting your family and whatnot. It's terrible. This is what Trinidad has become. So while people talking about Fete and Carnival and why they don't have enough money for Soca Monarch, there are people in Trinidad, families going through some serious SHIT, and knowing how the services in Trinidad go, they will have a rough time recovering from that or getting help with that. Sometimes you just have to put your own resources or your own time and energy to get anything done in Trinidad. And I can especially say that as a father of children with special needs. For years and years battling to get what they deserved, and not only encountering ignorance, melancholy approach by the authorities about it, but you actually get other trainees who fight against it. Like if you're not supposed to be concerned about your own children. So Trinidad has its challenges, and a lot of it comes down to our root cause, and the root cause is the culture. People don't like to fess up to that, you know. They think that, oh, it's just because of government, or it's just because of people, or the 1% or whatever. No, no, no. There's 1.4 million people here, and the people have the power. You can change things if you want to. You have to make the decision that, you know, you're not going to put up with bad roads, or you're not going to put up with shoddy service, or you're not going to put up with a lack of protection. If the people really come together and demand that, you know, the government, the authorities, whomever, would not have any choice but to make sure they're doing their work. But the culture is one of, well, you know, that's how it is. That's how it is in Trinidad, and because, you know, whoever authority that be, sees that, says, yeah, that's how it is, and they cool with that and they relax. There's a very big mentality of relaxation from everything in Trinidad, and that's really unfortunate. As you can see, we are coming to more, how should I put it? Or I should say we come into a more busy part of, I believe we're still in Barrackpore, or is this Penal? Really not sure. We're passing a secondary school on the left, which I have featured many times before. Monkey Town. That's why I don't want to put up much labels here, because I don't want to be wrong. Usually I would put up where we are at a present moment, but because it's difficult to tell, I don't want to take that chance of putting in the wrong thing. Excuse me. So what do you think about what I'm saying? I know there are very sensible people that know what's going on, huh? And then there are enablers and trolls and people who work for the authorities that be to say X or Y is not the case. But they're trying to just hide the truth.
10? Alright, done.
I stopped there to find out how much for cucumbers. Sometimes cucumbers could be really cheap, and other times it could be like if it's you're buying gold. In this case, it's a gold day. And you know, that's another thing to Trinidad. You know, for instance, when you go to these states, there's always, in the most remote areas, and when I say remote, like for instance, take a place like Utah, that's a desert, you know, and yet still you could get access to fruits that you can't even get in a tropical country like Trinidad, when we have the climate, the soil, the weather, everything to be growing fruits like crazy, but we don't. You know, it's kind of like a madness. Trinidad food in Trinidad should be so cheap. Now I believe I'm supposed to turn right, but I end up going straight. Again, there isn't clearly defined turn-offs, so you find like, oh, you end up taking the wrong road. So somewhere along here, I had stopped and asked a lady for directions, and she
What should be the
told me
fastest
where
way
to
to get
go.
to Point Fortin? So.
And so I ended up having to turn around. But as you can see, the road is a bit narrow and it has lots of potholes, so I had to try and navigate where I would turn around using partially somebody's driveway. But indirectly, I get to see part of this side of. I think this is Pinal now. DB, not sure. I'm lost. Look at the trash on the road here. Is that really necessary for anybody? I mean, really? Is that the community spirit? A lot of people think I shouldn't talk about these things. I should only be highlighting the niceties. Well, you know, if you want an illusion, if you want to feel like you're reading a brochure where they're just showing you what they want to show you, there are other channels and avenues for that. If you want to actually get reality, you know, you want to know, be aware of what's there now, come to JB's Man Cave and stay here. Let your friends know. Because only when you let them know, they can see how things are. Interesting to see a boat all the way in this remote area. We're not anywhere close to the ocean. And there are no lakes or anything, really. At least not deep enough for a boat that size. This strip of road looks like it either been recently paved or something because it's smooth. There are no road markings on it. But it's a welcome change to the roads that we just came from. And you can tell that this will at some point take us back to the highway. So another thing that I can talk about that I see a lot on my channel, some of the comments, kind of ignorant comments really, to be honest, where people will come and see a video and say, I never saw it before, that's why I recorded it. I mean, give me some credit, man. I've been around for quite a while. You know, if I record something, it's not necessarily because I have not seen it. There's something in it that I look at. Does an artist, a painter, a photographer take pictures of things only that he has never seen? I mean, really? Think about it. Usually things are captured because other people need to see it, right? And just because you have seen it, the channel is not made for simply just you. I mean, it would be nice to think we live in a world where everything's created for just you, the individual, right? But it's not that way. Sometimes things are captured because in some way it's interesting for me and I would like to share it. And believe it or not, life in certain places does not necessarily exist elsewhere. And this is not unique, or I'm not saying this for Trinidad. This is actually even more prevalent for people in first world countries who will come along and say, why am I taking a video clip of a truck or some place that they see regularly? But because you see it regularly does not mean that other people see it regularly. For instance, like the Utah mountains. Those mountains in Utah are magnificent. When I see
I
them,
want to get to Point Fortin. This way is the best.
I'm like always at awe at their size, their greatness. They almost stand like soldiers protecting over the area.
Fortin left.
But somebody in Utah might think, I see this every day, this is so boring, why are you taking pictures of it? You know, or why are you recording it? But again, I'm not just doing it for you. I have people that come from all over the world to see JB's Man Cave, and you know what? A lot of them don't even have mountains.
Yeah, yeah.
There are some countries, believe it or not, or areas that don't have mountains. And that might surprise you, but yeah, that's how it is in the wider world.
Left on in traffic light.
So I make videos to share with everybody. I want you to see JB's man cave like
Alright, cool.
just like any other TV channel. You know, when you turn on a channel um, for commercial TV, you see a wide variety of content, right? And they don't just talk about the same thing over and over and over. They switch to different topics and different subject matter, and it's the same with myself. Why would I keep talking about the same thing over and over and over? That makes absolutely no sense. Right, so we're starting to get into areas where we kind of shoot across different places, and when I say that, I mean these are roads now that would take us faster bypassing these smaller roads so that we could get to where we want to go. Which in my case today is I am trying to get to Point Fortin. And you know, I really didn't plan to go to Point Fortin per se on this day. I just meant to go to Barrackpore like we did, but somebody mentioned to me that the Borough celebrations, Point Fortin Borough celebrations, was happening today. And I said, hey, that would be good since I'm here. Even though it's far away, huh? It's not like it's down the road. It's far away from where I am. But since I'm in South, let me go and take a look at it and record it. And you would have seen that from the video that I released just recently about Point Fortin, where I walk up and down the main streets of Point Fortin. So you can actually see the highway on the right there.
I know where I am now.
If you took left, that would take you to DB.
Dump, right? The fleet?
And right would go to the highway and San Fernando if you go in that direction. But I actually want to get back onto the highway, and getting onto the highway will also reveal the new strips of road that continue it, going all the way to Point Fortin. But I think on this particular day they were doing some road work, so I wasn't able to access all of the new highway, even though it was already made. So I had to make a turn off. But in turning off, you see a strip of road that I have not been on before, that leads to the Southern Main Road and to Point Fortin. Always some adventure with JB, you know how it is. Some of these traffic lights, wow, they could take really long. I remember there used to be some by Valsain in North Trinidad that will seem like forever.
No, green.
So when they do go green, everybody really tries to go. Now if I had turned left there, I would have quickly gotten onto the highway, but I believe I'm taking this path for some reason, not sure why. This section here would actually take me to San Fernando. Maybe I'm looking to take side street. Some of these videos I record earlier, and as time passes, I kind of forget where I'm going or where I've been, because there's so many. Did you know I'm approaching something like 3,000 videos on JB's Man Cave? Yep, that's the amount of videos I have, and I have videos as long as 5 hours, and then short ones as much as a few seconds. And even though the area is built up, you could see that the roads are still a mess. Maybe not quite as bad as Barrackpore, but similar. But you can see that the land here is very open, in that you could see for a few miles ahead what everything looks like. This part of open country is what I would call it, and I like to look at it. You can see how grey the clouds are above, how white the sky is. A lot of that is Saharan dust. It's not giving that blue that you're accustomed to on a nice clear sunny day. So it's kind of making everything grey. But it didn't rain today, so like I said, it's not really rain clouds, it's just Saharan dust. Today was particularly bad. If you plan to put your comments, please also put a timestamp, not the timestamp on the top right. That is just my own timeline, so you can know where we are in the video. Use the YouTube timestamp right by the comments, has a option to put the place where you're watching any video and put a comment. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people put comments asking things or saying things, but not really mentioning where they are in the video. So they will say, "What's that building?" for instance, and a 2.5 hour video like this, nobody's going to know what building you're talking about unless you're very specific with a timeline, and nobody will be able to answer you. So if you're really looking for an answer, make sure to put a timeline within the video. There's a certain method to doing that, similar to what is on the top right: hours, minutes, and seconds, with a colon in between each. So it'd be hours, colon, minutes, colon, seconds. And that will take us. YouTube will automatically link that and it'll take us to the part of the video you're talking about so somebody could answer you. It doesn't always have to be that I have to answer. Other people, if you see somebody asking a question, especially if you're from this part of Trinidad, feel free to help somebody out by answering them or giving your point of view. I think a lot of people feel that it should be just me answering, but that's not the case. If the question is specific to me or my video, I can understand that. But when you're asking about an area, really anybody familiar with the area can answer you. They may be able to also give you more insight into the place than I could. This is a very long road and it has that particular country look. Probably these used to be cane farms at one point. In Trinidad, we used to have a big sugar cane farm growing culture that was removed at some point. Why, I don't know. Why we would remove something that can be grown here to only import it from elsewhere. Somebody will say, oh, it actually costs less to import it, but is that really food security when you're depending on other people in other countries to bring food for you? No, it isn't, right? Food security is when you can make it right here and have it here. There's so much corruption in this country, huh? Corruption in the way that things are handled. Somebody always trying to make a profit over other people's head and so forth. The level of unfairness is gob-smacking, to be honest. Have you driven on these roads before? I have featured them on some of my other videos, going different places. Maybe I'm trying to go to the southern main road. I'm not sure what I'm doing here.
That's the only place where to get some tea to have stop, right?
Golconda
That's the only place I'll stop.
to eat.
Yeah. You get some tea.
You can see some of these signage
How much? Big one.
where we could possibly go. So probably I'm using that.
You don't want anything to eat?
I don't know.
Huh? You saying you don't want anything to eat?
Yeah, man. Let's eat.
Now this part here
This area does not seem
seems to be always endlessly under construction. It's a part that's like they want to make a promenade out of it so people can walk. It can also act as an extension to get in and out of bypass San Fernando. I don't know if today it's fully running, but on this particular day, you can see the road on the left is closed. So we're still doing construction here. And you can see on the right is just gray. Sometimes on a sunny day it doesn't get any better. It looks brown. It's a lot of mud and stuff in the water. Sometimes even an oily substance. So it's not a place here to go and sea bathe or anything like that. A lot of politics have also gone into the construction of this piece of road and the length of time that it took to create it. Let me know in the comments area if it has fully opened up or if they still have it where parts of it is blocked off, like how you see in this video. Be nice if all the roads in Trinidad could be like this, huh? When I say like this, I mean paved. Because sometimes, even with this road paved, it's still bumpy, which I just don't understand how a new road could be bumpy. In this particular way, we will be accessing the roads going into Point Fortin. But maybe I go on the highway at some point. I don't know why I took this way and I didn't just take the highway straight from DB. Maybe I wanted to show you the drive at this angle. I don't know what my thoughts were at the time because, like I said, it was a while back. And since the time of creating this video, so many things have gone on in my life. I mean, massive changes. So forgive me for not remembering. In the old days, this was just 2 lanes and you would have to travel through really bad roads to get to these areas. But now you can see, you know, they have fixed it to the point where you feel like, oh, okay, I have this large highway to get to Point Fortin in those areas. Because normally if you're going on the southern main road to get to where you want to go, wow, it takes so long. And hopefully this will get people to where they're going faster. And that's why you don't see anybody around. See how clear it is? These roads are new. And now available for people to use. It's much like the roads from Port of Spain to the south. Uriah Butler Highway. That's a serious overpass. Some big steel I-beams, I guess for heavy trucking. Need a lot more of those, especially in the central area. It's very hard to cross the highway. You always have to drive so far to get from one side of Shogunas to the other. But you can see construction on the left is also still going on. Some roads there. Don't know what that leads to. But it's very unusual to be driving here at this hour of the day and not see any cars. Usually you'd have to be up very early in the morning and it'll be dark and you might see something like this. So this is very unusual. So while we are driving on this long strip of road, maybe I could bring up some other topics for your discussion in the comments area. One of the things that I like to consider are other people's feelings, in that I think we should be more kind, courteous, and empathetic to things that are presented in people's lives and talked about. I noticed there's a way of being brash, let me call it that, online. It's easy to be unkind, isn't it? You could just say anything to try and insult people, or try to make yourself look elevated above everyone else. But really, kindness is something that we should always consider, especially in a culture like Trinidad. You know, you go places and people just say whatever, do whatever. You know, in the younger days, it was so respectful to come into a place. You say good morning, hello, thank you, please. Those things seemingly just don't exist anymore. You know, it's almost like people make demands of you, like if you know you owe them something, or you know, you owe them a favor, and it's not like that. These are total strangers, but they have no regard for you as a being, and that's just unfortunate. You know, and you know, you might think, oh, you're just saying that because um, of whatever background or whatever such and such you are, but you know, I'm a vegan, and I actually extend that even to all life. I just do not want to hurt or abuse any animal. And to show you an example of what I mean, to the extent, imagine that some people will say, well, I'm vegetarian, I don't eat meat, you know, and they think they're doing a good job. And yeah, it's good that you don't eat meat, but you're also still partaking of a part of the animal that is being tortured. Like, for instance, to get milk, which vegetarians still drink. You And let me just stop there. You see, the highway should still be continuing right there, but it's blocked off. So I have to turn this way. So I'm just asking these guys about this particular road. But this road will take me to Point Fortin. So, well, it will actually take me to the southern main road. So, yeah, in order for a cow or cows to give you milk, they stand all day tortured, and they are hooked up to machines. Now, just think if you were a human, let's say a pregnant woman, and there were tubes hooked up to you all day so that you could give somebody else milk. This is not milk for your child, eh? This is for somebody else. How would you feel? Well, that's the process of modern day exploitation of animals. In addition to that, some people, it's not even about just the animal itself. You have massive amounts of forests that are cut and burnt down so that animals could be bred because there isn't enough room. And they breed these animals over and over, and it creates quite a stench and a lot of waste in the environment because, in the way things, in the balance of way things are, we aren't really supposed to have this many cows or chickens or pigs. It's just one or two here and there. But because humans want to eat meat and are so thirst for meat, production has required that massive amounts of lands and resources and water are taken up in order to keep these animals alive until they are killed and given for meat. You should do some research about it. There's a documentary on Netflix. In fact, there are a few of them. If you have access to that, you could go and look at. One is called the Twin Experiment. You should look at that to learn more about the effects and how food is actually made. It always amazes me when people tell me they are animal lovers while putting a piece of beef or chicken in their mouth. So you're, only animal lover of a certain kind of animal. And to show you how perspective and culture is important, you may, for instance, adore dogs and cats and couldn't even begin to think about harming them, right? Yet still in a place, let's say, as China, dogs and cats are considered food like chicken or cows. What's the difference really? It's just culture. Nothing has changed in the animal, just the perception of it. So if you're truly an animal lover, respect all animals. There's no declaration where one animal is meant to be food and the other is. No animal is food. Alright, so that's me preaching a little bit there as we were on the highway. So we're going back to these winding roads again in order to get to Point Fortin. And in some parts of this, I always see these trees. And I love when we go through it or near it. These little forests. There should be way more of that. There should be some requirement that for every house or building built, several trees are planted within the area. What do you think about that? So after this long strip of road, I believe this is the southern main road. And so if we follow this road, it will eventually take us to Point Fortin. If you're just joining us for this video, make sure to see it from the start. That way you would get a good compilation of what has been said and done. You see on the left there, it's a police car. That's what they look like locally. That's one of the styles. They have different looks, but more or less the same with a blue and white tone. Sometimes they introduce yellow, but not always. Long ago, police vehicles used to be all navy blue. You remember that? The look of the police has also undergone a lot of changes. When I was a child, these are all music trucks, by the way. Um, they used to have a dress with a short pants, high socks, and a hat similar to how you would go into the safari. Yeah, that's how they looked. It's kind of funny when you look back at how things were in the past and how it is today. Now a lot of police dress like SWAT teams members. And with the level of crime out there, they have to dress like that to be prepared for anything, because a lot of the criminals nowadays, they have a lot of guns, high powered weapons and stuff. And they could put up quite a challenge when police try to intercept them. Recently, I saw the TTPS put up some bulletins about recruits that they want to hire to bring onto the police force. Have you seen those? You could go on the TTPS webpage or Facebook page, and they ask for the public to say if the people are featured, because they have like passport size pictures of the faces of the people who want to be police officers. They ask for the public's input. If you haven't seen it, go and take a look. If you're in Trinidad or you know any of those people, you could give your input. If you're new to Trinidad, this is how typical island life is here. This is how the roads look. This is how the scenery is. If you're from North America, it would be very different, a different look. Sometimes people ask me, "Oh, where are the beaches?" Well, believe it or not, Trinidad does not have a lot of beaches. I should say accessible beaches. That's a whole topic of its own. The very few beaches that we do have that are accessible to the public are in kind of remote areas in Trinidad. It's not easy to access. I do have videos of those. You can always look in the video selection to find them. One of the more popular ones is called Maracas Bay. The only thing with there is that if you're not a good swimmer, it could be a little too rough for you. There's another beach called Las Cuevas, which is near it, and the waters there are calmer. However, the drawback is that there are a lot of sandflies on the beach. So it's almost like a tit for tat, pros and cons with beaches here. So if you go to those beaches, even Maracas could have some sandflies. I mean, if you decide to go to the beach, make sure it's a bright sunny day. That will keep the sandflies down. If it's kind of like hazy like this, you'll get eaten alive by sandflies. So again, if you're not used to seeing footage of Trinidad, these buildings, some are houses, some are commercial buildings. Right now, most of these are houses. These are typical houses. That one on the left there is gigantic. I wouldn't say that's typical, but the look is typical. A lot of houses here are multi-purpose. They may be dual purpose. For instance, the residents live above and below is some sort of commercial entity. The house on the left is wood, which is very unusual. You don't see many houses like that. But most houses here are built with concrete, steel, metal roofs, and so forth. I find that even though the design of houses here is not consistent, you know, different shapes, different colors, if it's they are way stronger and better built than the North American counterparts, the way they construct houses out of wood mostly. So the area we are in is called La Brea. This place is known for the pitch lake, which is a naturally occurring pitch lake. I have videos for that separate that you can always look at. And I do have videos of me passing through here before, but you know, you get to see it on another day. There's the village dog on the left. Doesn't seem to be afraid for its life. I do have footage of this trip of road in a series, I think it was a 4-part series of going all the way to Icacos. That's quite a ride. If you haven't seen that series, make sure to look for it on JB's Man Cave. Actually, I have something called a video map because I have so many videos, it's hard to track them all. You can always look at that map to find videos. I have to actually update it. Now, if I was to turn right, I would go to the area for the pitch lake. Oh, and I am turning right, I guess, to show you all. So you can see this is the area known as the pitch lake. And I think when I had videotaped this area, calling it videotape, that's old language. When I recorded the video, this facility wasn't open, so I'm just turning around here just to show you what it looked like. But I'm not featuring this today really. So we're getting back onto the southern main road to continue our trip towards Point Fortin. Coming up on the right at some point will be a beach, talking about beaches just now, called Vesini Beach. I also have a specific video for that. I don't know if you saw it. But that used to be one of the loveliest beaches in South. I mean, I really used to enjoy it. The few times that I went there, what was unique about it was the water was always crystal clear. Um, and it was kind of shallow. You could walk and walk and walk and walk out and stay at one level. It was also calm, so you could actually swim without having rough waves like Maracas. But unfortunately, it is no longer like that. I don't know, boy. You have to see the videos. It's really sad to see the state of the beach. And I'm talking about the beach itself, the water and the sand around it. Not the facilities, that's well maintained and stuff by people that take care of it, but the beach itself, nah boy. So full of oil and mud, and it's just really sad to see how it looks now. Nothing I would even think about swimming in. And it's such a disappointment because, people in South want a place that they could go to. Imagine somebody from South has to go all the way to the north. I mean, even if you're already living in the north, to go to Maracas is like you have to put aside time for that, because to get to that beach is not easy. Take some planning. So just imagine if you're coming all the way from south just to go to Maracas. Something has to be done to restore our beaches and our sea waters. People often say, oh, it's the Orinoco. The Orinoco brings oily substances to the beaches too? Nah. 'Cause sometimes you walk on the beaches and your feet or your hands are black. You'll see it in the video. Make sure to look for it. That's part of being vegan too, a serious concern for the environment. I mean, everybody has reasons for becoming vegan. Some is health, some is the animals, some is the environment, whatever. But I don't know. That's the beach there on the right I was talking about, Vesini. With that red cars turning in. I have more than one video about that.
Remember that beach?
Make sure to look for it.
Why is Cantina still there? Cantina still there?
Yeah. I don't know why
This part here, I just love it. See how the trees caress the road? Really like it. When I was a child, this is how most of country driving used to be. Just like that piece of green there. You'd see that for miles and miles, and no buildings around. It's not like that anymore. You only get patches of that now. I wish there were more projects where ornamental trees and flowering plants were put around the roads and stuff. I mean, just to beautify the country, not just in a roundabout or in a select area, but all over. In fact, that could easily be done by these URP groups or whatever. As they clean an area, they could also plant trees, and I know they do that, but they only do it for certain intersections. I mean, just as a larger scale program, they could plant it everywhere. That part there is supposed to be connecting the highway to Point Fortin, but at the time of this video it was closed. You all can let me know if it's open now. So basically you would have been able to come from the highway, bypass all those roads like La Brea and stuff, and have reached to this point. But we still have a good ways to go before we reach to Point Fortin proper. And the roads are not any better at making the drive any smoother. Also you have traffic. And I believe that because today is the Point Fortin Borough celebrations, they would have blocked off some of the roads, making it a little more inaccessible and therefore a little more traffic happening.
Good day. Point Fortin proper, how far away from?
So asking this lady how far away Point Fortin proper is.
Alright.
She says just a couple miles, but I believe it's way more than that. Look at that sidewalk on the left, if you could call it that. See, this is part of the infrastructural development that needs to take place. Roads, the pavements, all of that needs to be in place so that people feel like, development is happening. I always wanted to take that Hermitage Road, access road. I just never got a chance. That's the road on the right. Sticking on the southern main road right now. Also Dump Road. What a name. Now you'll notice there's a truck up ahead carrying something on it. Yellow and white. You can see why it's slowing things down. That's the thing too, when you have access points, roads that just have two lanes covering major areas. I mean, it's so easy to get wrapped up in traffic. Hopefully the highway system would alleviate some of that. I don't know if it's constantly under construction still or if it's fully open, but you can tell me in the comments area, those of you who have lived down here and have bigger access, because sometimes they'll say yes, it's open, but then when you go, it's blocked off or something like that. Just passing in police station on the right. If you're just joining us, probably, and the video just started, and it's still in its premiere phase, does not mean it is live. I explained this earlier in the video, but if you just join us, you would know. This video is not live. It is what is called premiered, which means that YouTube allows many people to come and watch it at the same time and chat about it. There is an actual chat interface where you can message just to say hi and whatnot, but you can always leave your comments in the comments area where everybody can read it. Additionally, if you want to see the beginning of the video, you have to wait till after the premiere and then start it from the beginning. You should, because it's a 2.5 hour video, and you'll be missing out on a lot of stuff that I covered, because I went to Barrackpore and all the back roads there, places that you would not have seen before, and then came through near La Romain and onto the back roads here, going towards La Brea and then now Point Fortin. I'm trying to get to Point Fortin for the Point Fortin Borough celebration, which I recently created a video for. This is more or less the trip that got me there. And if you're new to Trinidad, this is how Trinidad looks. The majority of it, especially the built up areas, is like a concrete jungle. You could see there's no green, no trees, no coconut trees, no beaches around. I know people in North America and Europe think that, you know, when you come to the Caribbean, there's just beaches all around. It's not like that. Most people see this when they move around Trinidad. They don't see beaches. A lot of the beaches in Trinidad in particular are either not accessible or not places to relax and bathe. They're often taken up by fishermen, or they're just simply blocked off. When I was younger, it wasn't that bad, because you could go to different areas in Trinidad and there would be a beach readily available. But as time passes, it just seems like we just don't have beaches to go to, except maybe one or two. Coming out of the built up areas, you could start to see some green. And this also is the look of Trinidad. Again, you'll notice it is not like brochures you have seen of coconut trees everywhere and stuff. It's not like that. This is a typical look for Trinidad. A lot of bush, bamboo. In this particular part, I do see some coconut trees, which is more prevalent for the southern part of Trinidad, which is where we are, than the northern part of Trinidad, where you hardly ever see a coconut tree. I don't know why that is. That's the bus. We have one thing I could safely say that's happened of recent is and when I say recent, a few years now, is a good bus system. When I say good, the buses are all modernized. They even have coaches that go from one end of the country to the next that are fully air conditioned with airplane seats and stuff in it. And one nice thing about Trinidad too, even though people will complain that the transport prices is high, which it is compared to the salary, it is still way better than North America. I mean, I could get from point A to point B around the island using the public transport. And when I say public, also have something called maxi taxis and H cars, which relatively are private but also fall into the public domain, that you can take to get to any part of the country. It's not so easy in, let's say, North America, because while trains and subways and buses and stuff will get you to the general part of an area, you will still have struggle to get to certain other points within that areas, and you'll still end up having to take um, different other means to get there, whether it be Uber or whatever. But here you can, pay a little extra, and the driver of the H car, which means car for hire or maxi, may drop you exactly where you need to go.
That's a mini gas station.
Land in Trinidad is very expensive, and that's why you also see the buildings close to the road and people selling on the road. That's how life is here. People do whatever they need to in order to survive. And you notice those vendors are on the side of the road, right? Not in the middle of the road, as they should be. That's the proper way. I um I want to ask you a favor too, to also let your friends, family, others know about JB's Man Cave. Very close to reaching 20,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. I remember when I first created the Shogunas video,
I don't see any
I
footage.
think it was around 5,000, and I was asking people to subscribe and stuff so that I could reach 10,000. Well, today I'm almost reaching 20,000. In addition to that, I'm also going towards 7 million views and millions of hours of views. The timeline for the viewing, because I have very long videos, people watch them for hours and hours, is millions more than even the views or the subscribers. I think when I reach 20,000 subscribers, I will make a short video just thanking everybody, and publish exactly how many millions of minutes people have been watching my videos for. Oh, talking about that, um, recently in these shorts too, I gave thanks to people who have been donating and contributing. Your generic username has been listed there. If you haven't seen it, make sure and look for it. I didn't do it before, so I put up monetary contributors for 2022 and last year 2023. So look for that short video of where I thank everybody for their contribution, and I listed generic name. And I say that because I know some of you who did contribute aren't aware of it. So we're in Point Fortin now. And just now we're going to be passing the Point Fortin Hospital. I was hoping to get past this truck. You can see it's carrying steel pan equipment, but that's going to slow us down more. Maybe it's good because you can see what it looks like from the rear. But this is Point Fortin. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it from this angle, but the Point Fortin Hospital, which is a modern looking facility, will be on the right. I don't know if the facilities, well, I shouldn't say the facilities are modern, but I don't know if the service is also keeping up with the facilities. You can tell me in the comments area because I've never been to that hospital. You know, buildings look nice, but buildings on their own don't serve people. It's the people within it that serve people. So, you know, are you greeted well? Are you attended to? You have to wait for hours before you get service, etc., etc. Tell me in the comments area. I see entrance to the hospital on the right. One of my big complaints about hospitals is, yeah, they're modernizing it and it looks nice, but when you go in there, they don't have the machines. They don't have enough doctors. So you end up, again, having children with special needs. You know, you go in there and they say, well, you can't do it. You have to go to these states. So what's the point of me paying all these taxes, or the people of Trinidad paying all, and you still have to take out money and go to these states to take care of your child? That's craziness. That's why you always see me kind of upset when I see all these big buildings. You have all these big buildings, and what? People still have to go elsewhere privately to get medical attention and stuff. I mean, if I really started to go political, wow, it would be like raging fire. Actually, I should mention that I have a sub channel called International Discussions. Some of you will not know this, but before I started making videos, I used to carry what is called a bulletin board or forum, and I still have it open. It is actually called internationaldiscussions.com. If you haven't seen it, go there. There's years, I'm talking about decades of people commenting there of all kinds of topics. And one section is also dedicated to Trinidad. You can also look at it. But anyway, the YouTube channel is called International Discussions, and I have started to put the more controversial videos there. You can always go and subscribe if you would like to. Just note that the content is different than JB's Man Cave. Because people were nagging me, they want to talk more about politics and blah blah blah. And so that gives them a opportunity to do that without mixing it up with JB's Man Cave. With JB's Man Cave, I want to keep it open for everybody, not focusing on politics too much, because then people get too sensitive and start fighting and arguing, and I don't want to really have to moderate that here. Here is more of a relaxed atmosphere. Yes, I bring up social issues, but not with an agenda towards some political party or something like that. That guy looks like he had a few to drink. I don't know what he was trying to do with that, to get a ride on that truck. So this is Point Fortin proper. You're starting to see people in their costumes, and I will not be able to pass through Point Fortin main road because they have blocked it off. So at some point I'm going to be turning right and looking to park. But in the other video I was telling you about, I walked all here in Point Fortin, and it was recorded in 5.3K or downsized to 4K video. And I had an extension rod So I was giving you views that you wouldn't see anywhere else. Make sure to look for that video of Point Fortin. If you haven't seen it, you could see it right after this video,
Only see soft going off the ground.
because this video is just really about me um, driving here to Point Fortin. But the other video is Point Fortin itself, and I also show the steel pan, the people in costumes, talk with a few of the people from Point Fortin and so forth. Now, again, this is one of the reasons I wasn't too keen about being behind this truck, is because you see it's taken really long to get to my destination, but it gives you an avenue to see how Point Fortin looks as the people pass by and so forth. The police. All these cars on the right decide that they are going to go ahead. Seems like the police is flagging them on to come on. Our truck is just stuck there. So all the police there. I'm gonna stop and ask them where I could park.
Where would be a safe place to park?
Where's it?
A safe place to park.
Safe place to park.
Yeah.
Again, as I asked, you could check Trini Life. That's what it looks like.
You have any safe?
You don't have any car park?
Where you going?
I want to come here and record what's going on.
You know where Pussa's grocery is?
Nah, I don't know anything around.
See if we can park down by the unit trust there, or where those Maxis are they parked, the red and white Maxis park.
Okay,
Yeah, you'll be parking in front of a health center. You could probably park there.
you could go straight down here?
Yeah.
Alright, thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed my trip here. It's a long drive. Sorry for mumbling so much, ranting in some cases on certain issues. Feel free to, if you have specific questions that you'd like for me to bring up, because there is a second part of this video where I leave Point Fortin and make my way up to Port of Spain. And if you'd like me to bring up some stuff for that road trip, feel free to email me your questions if you have specific questions or things you'd like me to talk about, and I'll try and make a note of it. Sometimes people ask me stuff, but at the time of the production of the video I kind of forget, but I'll make sure to write it down this time. So basically I am turning around here to get a place to park. You get a view of that church so that I can record Point Fortin. Again, if you can, please support my channel monetarily. Again, I do this for my children with special needs. I don't do this really like a hobby or because I just like recording stuff. It's with the idea of helping them. And if you want to support me and encourage me to create more videos like this, please go to jbmancave.com or jboard.com. There's a donation button there. You click on that. That will give you the option of making your donation via PayPal or your credit card or whatever. It's secure, so you don't have to worry about that. You could do it through YouTube's interface, but the thing with YouTube is they take such a huge chunk of it that I don't get a lot of your donation. So it's better and faster for me if you use the donation button. Please do subscribe if you haven't. Please like, comment, let other people know. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you and being part of JB's Man Cave. Thanks so much.